Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. So let's go and talk about the characteristics of a parabola. We talked about the definition of a parabola, which means that every point on the line of the, or not on the line, but on our parabola is equidistant from the focus as to the directrix. So let's go and take a look at, well, what other characteristics do we have of a parabola? So I'll look at a horizontal one here, and I'll also look at a vertical one. And let's do a vertical one with the axis symmetry. Okay, as the y-axis. All right, so the characteristics of a parabola are very similar to what you've already understood from parabolas based on your, hopefully, history using quadratic equations and our quadratic functions. The main important thing is the maximum or the minimum, depending on how it looks, is what we call the vertex, right? And you can see the maximum distance to the right that this graph goes here is called my vertex. Now, what's important about the vertex is, remember, that your axis symmetry goes through your vertex. And that was one of the things that we learned first, how to find the vertex was to find the axis symmetry. So remember that the axis symmetry goes through my vertex. All right? Now, what's also important about this is, remember that not only does the vertex go through the axis symmetry, but also my focus is on the axis symmetry as well. So therefore, my focus and my vertex are all on my axis symmetry. So if I can determine the axis symmetry, that's very, very important, right? And then the last thing to remember is that the directrix is perpendicular to my axis symmetry. So the distance, so my directrix. Now remember, when your directrix is vertical, the equation of your directrix is going to be x equals ... If my directrix is horizontal, then it's y equals, whatever the equation is. Now remember, again, these are perpendicular lines to one another, right? They're perpendicular to each other. X equals, y equals. The last thing is the distance from my vertex to my directrix. And this is very, very important to understand, because when we're graphing and solving, we're going to need to know this value. The distance from my vertex to my focus is p. Okay? Now, remember, though, the distance from any point on the line, now the vertex, or any point on the parabola, the vertex is on the parabola. So the distance from the vertex to my focus has to be equal from the distance from my vertex to my directrix, which it is, but it's just in the opposite direction. So if we say from vertex to focus is p, then to vertex to directrix would be opposite of p. And even though p is negative here, opposite of negative would then make that positive. So just remember, think of that in terms of p and opposite of p. And you can see both of these equations have a focus actually that goes in the negative direction, left and down. But that's OK. Just think of it as p and opposite of p. But there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are just your basic characteristics of a parabola. Thanks.